And we're back, folks, right here on WWE Network and Show, where I, Graham G.S. Matthews, break down all the original content I watch on the WWE Network. Today we're talking the return of Talking Smack for August 22nd, 2020. Talking Smack was canceled way back when, in the summer of 2017, after about a year-long run on the network after SmackDown on the network. It was hosted by Bryan and Renee Young. I didn't watch it at first. I thought it would be another kind of like what Raw Talk is now and what Raw Talk was during its original run a number of years ago, where they would just break down Raw and all this other shit and SmackDown, like who really cares? And then the show really proved to be a great platform for the superstars of SmackDown to really showcase their characters, get more mic time, and just be entertaining. And we kind of have that with Raw Talk now. And Raw Talk has exceeded my expectations. I don't really give a shit about Charlie Caruso, to be honest with you. But I do thoroughly enjoy Samoa Joe as an analyst on that show. R-Truth, whenever they have him on. They had on Byron Saxton this week and Kayla Braxton. I assume they had Kayla on to kind of do a test run to see how Talking Smack, to see how she would do in that role for Talking Smack. So Talking Smack is back. Unfortunately, it's not hosted by Renee Young or Daniel Bryan. Daniel Bryan, I kind of expected. Daniel Bryan is still with WWE, but A, he's not on the road right now. I assume he's in quarantine. Obviously, Bree just had a baby, but not even that. Like, the whole COVID situation, I think, is what played a factor in him not being on the show right now. So he may not be back for a while. He did pop up on, like, a on-screen thing, like a little mini screen thing on SmackDown, I think during the AJ Jeff Hardy match. But even with that, I don't assume he's going to be back on the show. Maybe for another month, at least for another month or so, if not longer. At least they're showing him unlike Roman Reigns, who just outright disappeared, which is totally his prerogative. But like for the company, though, I mean, I guess Daniel Bryan, if they're showing him, that tells me he'll probably be back soon. But anyway, Bryan is not the co-host for Talking Smack anymore. And even if he was around, he's an active competitor now. And yeah, The Miz was the co-host for this episode, but I assume that's not a regular thing. So the new Talking Smack lineup was supposed to be Xavier Woods. They made no mention of him not being on the show. I have no idea where Xavier was. He did not acknowledge the news on Twitter. I feel like they kind of announced it before. I don't know. Maybe he couldn't make it, or he's like, I'm not doing this. I don't know. But he has not acknowledged the news. As of this recording, we have no explanation for why he wasn't on the show. I have no idea. But we did get Kayla Braxton as was advertised. So, again, this was announced literally like a day ago. Like mid-Friday, they recorded the episode, I assume, after SmackDown. I mean, I had to win after SmackDown on Friday night. Put it up on the network this morning. I'm going to try to review them on Saturdays. I'm not exactly sure. I already do the SmackDown review separately. I don't know if I should combine those, put the Talking Smack reviews up on Sunday. That's probably what I'll end up doing, but I'm not exactly sure yet. But either way, we got Kayla Braxton and, for now, The Miz hosting the show. I thought The Miz was awesome, no pun intended, on Talking Smack here as the co-host, especially given his history with the show and that amazing, I don't want to say pipe bomb-esque promo, but it was kind of on that level that he cut way back when in 2016, almost exactly 4 years ago. I think it was almost exactly 4 years ago, that really elevated his career to new heights. So I thought he did great in this role. Kayla Braxton is no Renee Young, but she is very good. And I think she's far better than Charlie Caruso, in my opinion. She has more of a personality. She's better at her job. I don't know. I just maybe it's because she's less scripted. I'm not sure. I mean, she too asks pretty dumb questions sometimes, but I feel like she's just better in this role as the host of a show like this than Charlie Caruso is, who does the best with what she's given, but she's just not all that likable, in my opinion. So Renee Young, the news of this show coming back could not have come at a worse time, with Renee Young not outright saying, but reports indicating that she's on her way out of WWE in the not-too-distant future. Renee Young may very well be finishing up with the company this weekend at SummerSlam, so that news broke Wednesday. She may be done tomorrow, as of this recording, so that's unfortunate. But for her sake, you know what? Renee Young is so much better than professional wrestling, in my opinion. She can go off and do Fox, ESPN, Entertainment Tonight, whatever, and thrive. That's how good she is. And honestly, I would love to know what the whole story behind the Renee Young Talking Smack thing is. I mean, I'm sure she was pissed when they canned the show the first time 3 years ago. But since then, they've canned her Unfiltered show. She was on Backstage. That was a Fox decision to end that, but still, that show got canceled. She was on Raw commentary. She got taken away from that, which she was probably happy about. It seemed like it was a stressful job, as we all know from the horror stories that we've heard from various people. But still, they could be doing a lot more with her. And maybe to her hearing, I guess the talks of bringing back Talking Smack were started maybe about a week or so ago. I don't remember exactly when that rumor started up again. But I've heard stories like that for a while now, dating back years. So I didn't put a lot of stock in the rumors until it was officially announced yesterday, which was cool. But maybe for her sake, maybe she heard those rumors. Maybe they were discussing potentially bringing back the show with her, like maybe a week or so ago. And she said, listen, I feel like that's a step backward for my career. What is, for her sake, for her to host this show again, what is stopping them, if the show doesn't do well, from canceling it all over again? I mean, it just feels like a recurring pattern with this company, Renee Young. They give her a show, she knocks it out of the park, and for whatever reason, they cancel it. Again, I know the backstage thing was not a WWE decision as far as I know, but still, that's another WWE property that she's no longer on. So at that point, after that show gets canceled, I'm like, all right, I'm out of here. Like, there's no real reason for me to be here anymore. Talking Smack, it's not what it once was. I thought this was a good episode, which I'll get to in a moment, but it's not going to be what it was 4 years ago with her and Daniel Bryan. Their chemistry was awesome. It's not a live show. I think part of the magic of the original Talking Smack was that it was a live show immediately after SmackDown on the WWE Network. I'm not sure it could be live anyway, given the current circumstances. I assume the SmackDown was taped earlier on Friday. Maybe, I'm not sure. But this aired on Saturday. Like, Raw Talk is fucking... Like, that's what makes no sense to me. How do you have Raw Talk after a 3-hour Raw, but you can't put Talking Smack after SmackDown? Yeah, I know there's 205 Live, but you either move that to before SmackDown, or you air 205 Live and then Talking Smack. Because Talking Smack... 205 Live is only half an hour long nowadays. It's only like 25 minutes. So there's no real reason why you can't do Talking Smack at 10:30 p.m. on a Friday as opposed to 10:30 a.m. on a Saturday. It wasn't recorded today. It was recorded yesterday. They just put it up today. I thought that was weird. But again, Renee Young stuff aside, I thought this was actually a really good episode. So it's Kayla Braxton. They got The Miz for this episode. No word on where Xavier Woods was. Miz says that he misses Renee, and Kayla's like, well, I miss Daniel Bryan. And I'm like, yeah, preach to the choir. I thought that was very accurate. I'm surprised to even mention Renee Young, given the current, again, circumstances that she might be leaving. So anyway, real quickly, they discuss the Thunderdome and how cool it looks, and Miz jokes about how he gets more pyro than anyone else. We didn't see that on SmackDown, but when he has a match, I guess he's like, oh, I get more opening pyro than the opening of SmackDown, blah, blah, blah. And he does explain himself, so it's been a storyline, it's been hinted at for a couple of weeks now, that Miz may have something to do with Retribution. Not that what he said here is truthful, but Kayla Braxton kind of hinted at, where have you been during these attacks? He would come in later. Where have you been? Miz says that he was there to help against Retribution at the start of SmackDown this week, and that he came out late in case all of SmackDown got beat up. If the whole roster gets decimated, who's there to save the day? It's The Miz. That logic doesn't make a whole lot of sense because John Morrison would go up, before him, so why would he let his tag team partner go out before him? Again, it's an excuse, but at least it's an attempt of an explanation. They've kind of hinted at it on SmackDown, but not really haven't said anything else about it, so I wish this aired on SmackDown, but whatever. Some breaking news on 2 matches at SummerSlam on Sunday. You probably have already heard by now, but 2 matches have been since changed stipulation-wise. First, Braun Strowman versus the Fiend Bray Wyatt for the Universal Championship is now a Falls Count Anywhere match, which it's probably for the best. The two are not going to have a great wrestling match, so I like that idea. Miz says that he's excited for it. And then we also find out Mandy Rose versus Sonya Deville, which broke on Friday's SmackDown, is now going to be a loser leaves WWE no disqualification match. Probably due to the fact that Sonya, I would assume, is taking time off, due to the whole current court case thing with a guy breaking into his house, breaking into her house, attempting to kidnap her. Just really scary stuff. So she deserves all the time off in the world, so that's probably why they're doing that. Anyway, so Miz praises Sonya like there's no tomorrow. Offers a lot of praise to Sonya, calls her a star, and he's one of the better talkers WWE has. So for him to go so far as to praise Sonya, I thought was really cool. And he's right. She is a star, and she's been doing great work all 2020 long. They then welcome on Bayley and Sasha Banks, the current WWE Women's Tag Team Champions, and the SmackDown Women's Champion and the Raw Women's Champion, respectively. That's a fucking mouthful. They sing Miz and Morrison's song, the Hey Hey Ho Ho, whatever it is, which was funny. They make fun of Kayla Braxton for a couple of minutes. And then they get serious. So with Sasha's win over Naomi on SmackDown via the Beat the Clock Challenge on Friday, which I didn't know. Maybe they said this on the show and I just missed it. But Sasha, by beating Naomi, Bayley couldn't. She now earns the right to face Asuka first. Or I'm sorry, she earns the right to face Asuka second at SummerSlam this Sunday. So Asuka is going to face Bayley first, and then Asuka is going to face Sasha Banks. So Sasha Banks is kind of getting like the, I don't know, sloppy seconds. That sounds rude. Or best. That sounds a lot worse than it actually is, because I know that people use that for other things. She's getting the weakened version of Asuka on SummerSlam, so that makes sense. Bayley claimed to be caught off guard by Naomi with that rear view when she lost. And then Kayla questions whether Sasha can win on her own, because when she won the Raw Women's Championship, it was kind of via help from Bayley. And Sasha's like, oh, where were you? Like, Bayley was nowhere near me. And obviously Bayley, she wasn't there when Asuka won the championship or when Sasha won the championship, but she did beat up Kairi backstage, which distracted Asuka, which allowed Sasha to beat Asuka by countout to win the Raw Women's Championship. So then Sasha kind of goes off on a tangent saying to Kayla, oh, you don't have a best friend. That's why no one likes you, blah, blah, blah. And then Kayla says, I guess if Asuka wins on Sunday, then she's going to be called the Empress of every title. That sounds ridiculously dumb. Miz corrects her and says it's actually the Empress of all titles, but still, no thank you. Just, do we really need another dual champion? The whole two belt shit has got to stop. I liked it with Keith Lee, with Sasha and Asuka, or Sasha and Bayley, whatever. Becky did it a year ago. It's just getting to the point of just pure fatigue. They got to move on from this shit. And then Bayley and Sasha, as their closing line, don't say anything. They simply just look into the camera with this weird half-smile stare. And that was the end of them. So they then welcome on Big E. This is where things actually got really, really good. Sasha and Bayley were good. They're entertaining. We didn't really learn a lot. It was fine. Didn't tease any tension, whatever. We then get Big E here on the show. And I thought this was awesome. This felt real to me, not just because of the insider terms, but it felt like both guys were simply trying to, make a point. I talked to Big E a couple weeks ago. I interviewed him, and he kind of reiterated a lot of the points that he said to me here in this Talking Smack interview. So Miz asks him right off the bat, we need to see a serious Big E. Where is the serious Big E? You will not be successful if you're not serious. And Big E just goes, why? Why would I need to be serious? I've been myself for so long now. To just become this big, bad, heel, serious guy is just not me. It's unnatural. It's forced. It's random. Why would I do that? Why would I do that? And he said that exact same thing to me, and he makes a great point. I absolutely agree with him. Miz kind of compares it to Kofi Mania and how Kofi Kingston got serious when he needed to, and that was what led him to winning the WWE Championship. With Big E, though, the crowds were there to tell Kofi that he deserved that opportunity. Big E, the crowds aren't here. There's no one to tell him that he's doing a good job, to get behind him, to get those loud crowd reactions, Big E Mania. There's no one there for that. There's no audience. I mean, there kind of is via the Zoom call, but it doesn't exactly work the same way. Big E even brings up, and I was very surprised that he said this, and he's like, Kofi's too humble, he's too Mr. Nice Guy to even say this, but, what happened to Kofi's loss to Brock Lesnar on that first episode of SmackDown on Fox last October was disrespectful, he said. He said it was disrespectful. And again, they kind of address it as if it's, like me and you would be talking about the finish of that match. And not like, oh, Kofi had a bad night. Like, they're not talking in kayfabe, which I thought was very interesting. They go in and out of kayfabe here. He goes, oh, it was disrespectful. And then Miz says, listen, I can relate. I can relate to being at the top of the food chain and then going right back to doing nothing. I can relate to that. I'm doing nothing right now. Like, I totally get that. And Miz says, he says that he wishes he told Kofi right after that match with Brock, don't lose that main event status. Why are you going back to doing the tag team thing? Kofi doesn't complain. He's not that type of guy. But still, like, why would you lose that main event status? And Miz kind of says it as if it's not like it's Kofi's choice. Like, oh, I'm going to not be a main event star. Like, dude, clearly it's not his choice. It's a fucking company thing. You know what I mean? Big E's like, listen, Miz, you didn't wait 11 years. Kofi Kingston did to get that moment. And Kofi went right back to doing tag team stuff, and Miz goes, oh, I wish he fought it. I wish he fought it. And Big E's like, how? How could he have fought it? The opportunity's not there. He didn't have the opportunity before. I don't have the opportunity right now, Big E says. And that Miz got handed those opportunities. And this is, Miz was like, listen, I worked for it. I'm not getting handed opportunities right now. I'm just the best at everything there is to do, that type of thing. They both make very good points. They do. And Miz was like, listen, I made them believe in me. Kofi, and Big E's like, oh, you're saying that he's a failure? Like he's a self-made failure, blah, blah, blah. Miz is like, listen, I'm not saying that, but I went out there and created my own opportunity. Big E's kind of right, but he's also wrong. Like, in WWE, you're only really handed opportunities a lot. Like, you can create your own opportunities all you want. If the company doesn't want to push you, they're not going to fucking push you. So again, I kind of see where both guys are coming from. They're not going to go too far down the rabbit hole to acknowledge that here, because it is a WWE show on their own network at the end of the day. But I thought that was interesting. And Miz was like, yeah, I made them believe in me. Big E's like, listen, you didn't have to wait 11 years. Kofi Kingston was 11 years in the friggin' mid-card. He didn't say friggin', but I can only imagine that's what he wanted to say. He was in the mid-card for 11 years. And Miz is like, look, that's where I am right now. Like, I'm waiting for my opportunity right now, too. So again, I get where both guys are coming from. They both make very good points. But anyway, they kind of transition away from that, back onto what happened on SmackDown. Big E beating Sheamus in one-on-one action. He says that he wishes that he could use Sheamus as a human speed bump, because he just doesn't like Sheamus, I guess it's a character. But he beat Sheamus on SmackDown this week, which is a very big win considering that Sheamus is a former multi-time world champion. He hasn't had that world title opportunity yet. He hopes to get it soon. When Miz asks him, when do you hope to go for the world championship, blah, blah, blah. When do you get that universal championship shot? It's not up to Big E. Obviously, like, clearly, it's not. If it was that easy, what did Miz just say? Oh, I want a title shot, like, tomorrow? Like, no. Obviously not, but he has to wait his turn. And he feels like he's on the right track coming off his wins over The Miz, John Morrison, and now Sheamus on SmackDown. Going back to the whole serious thing, Miz says, listen, you're special because you are yourself, but at some point, you got to give us that next gear. And Big E's like, listen, people have been saying 4 years now that I deserve to be in the main event. If they've been saying that for all these years while I've been myself as this goofball, why would I change that? Why would I change that by being a completely different person, someone that I'm not? He's done that before. It's been done to death. He did it when he first showed up on the main roster. It didn't work. He showed no personality. The crowds didn't care. And then when he started to be himself, that's when he really started to show some traction. I agree that maybe more of an aggressive edge wouldn't be nice, but at the same time, though, why now would he need to develop that? If Kofi Kingston came back and beat the crap out of him, then I get it. That's not going to happen. But if someone was, crapping on Kofi and he treated it like it was no big deal, that's a problem. Or when Kofi got, he would get beat down during his reign as WWE champion, and Samoa Joe would choke out the New Day, he would choke out Kofi himself, and Kofi would come out throwing pancakes. Dude, why the fuck are you doing that? Show a little bit more aggression. Other than that, though, I completely agree with Big E that he shouldn't change just because people are telling him to change, But anyway, so that was cool. They welcome on Jeff Hardy real quick. Miz says that Jeff took a page out of Miz's book to win that Intercontinental title by hitting, what's his name, AJ Styles with the knee brace. And Jeff was like, yeah, you're right, I did. And I'm like, is Jeff Hardy going heel? Why would he laugh and go along with it? I thought that was weird. But he said, if you told me this would happen a year ago, I wouldn't believe you. I was in a terrible spot. I was in a terrible place in my life. But I'm better now. And finally, the Intercontinental Champion. And Miz was like, listen, you're spitting in the face of everyone who has held that championship if you don't defend it at SummerSlam. And again, I feel like Miz is speaking strictly in kayfabe right now. Of course Jeff Hardy would want to be a part of SummerSlam. I wish the match was a part of SummerSlam to begin with so we could win a fucking match of the pay-per-view. I think he's had 6 matches there. He's never won a single one. Jeff Hardy has never won at SummerSlam as far as I know. That's terrible. What the fuck? You know what I'm saying? That makes no sense. Man, but yeah, so he was like, oh yeah, you should be a part of SummerSlam. Jeff's like, I do want to be a fighting champion. I do want to defend it on Sunday. No shit. And that was pretty much it. But I thought this was really good. Again, it kind of started off a little weird. Not weird, but the Sasha Bailey stuff, it was entertaining, but there wasn't anything oh man, you have to go out of your way to see this. The Jeff Hardy stuff was really, really quick. The Big E stuff was great. The exchange that he had with The Miz here about being serious and the whole Kofi Kingston stuff, I thought was awesome. No pun intended, again. Go check that out. Check out the whole episode. I know it's not Renee Young. I know it's not Daniel Bryan. It's going to be the same show with the same name, or a different show with the same name, but it could still be quite good. Maybe even as good as, Raw Talk is some weeks, and maybe even better than that, given who they have on SmackDown. So I'm all for this. I like the idea of bringing back the show. I plan on reviewing it here in the channel when I can, here on the weekends, probably Saturdays, but I don't know. It's been a busy weekend. This is clearly going up during TakeOver. I just didn't have a chance to watch this until much later on in the day, but check it out anyway on the WWE Network. Talking Smack for August 22nd, 2020. I'm going to create a playlist with all my Talking Smack reviews going forward in the description box down below, so check that out. Be sure to like the video, drop a comment, share the video, and subscribe to the channel for more daily content. So my Triple H interview went up yesterday. Check that out. The R-Truth Game Show review went up earlier today. Check that out as well. I wasn't planning on reviewing the show because I didn't know it was even going to be happening. So that's why this is kind of came out of nowhere, and there's 2 videos in the same day. I usually do 1, but I'm throwing 2 out there. Tomorrow should be my timeline review on the Face That Runs the Place episode of AJ Styles versus John Cena, which was great. That should be up tomorrow. Monday, MCU Rewatch Review Series. I know there was a new Untold. I just got done watching that. That was great. That review might not be up until next Friday. And I'm also breaking down the new 24 on WrestleMania 36, the empty arena WrestleMania 36. And I saw the clip with Vince jumping off the friggin' the platform to show Gronk what he should be doing. I thought it was amazing, so I can't wait to see that either. Have a great weekend, guys. Enjoy Dynamite, NXT, TakeOver, 30 tonight, whatever. Have a great one. I'm Graham G.S. Matthews. Enjoy SummerSlam tomorrow as well, and I'll catch your ass down the road.